Saints defensive line coach Bo Davis will meet with Tennessee lineman Tyrie West. Coach Bo Davis, remember Bo Davis was instrumental in getting the Saints to take Vernon Brockton last year from, what was it, Texas, from University of Texas. A lot of people felt like Vernon Brockton would have been better chosen in the fourth round. People thought he would be there, but Bo Davis felt like he can turn Vernon Brockton into something. Vernon Brockton been on the team. Now he was hurt last year, rehab, coming back. We'll see what he looks like coming up when the season starts, but he will be a big part of whatever the team is doing. Vernon Brockton has to be, he was a third round pick last year. He got to step up. So did Bo Davis is known for finding these talented defensive linemen. Did he find another one in Tyrie West? Saints Wire reports. Let's get into it. Y'all hit that like button as we keep it going. All right, the Saints' future with Tyler Shuck and Kellen Moore having a full offseason to put together an offense specifically tailored to him, with the cap situation resolved and the team getting much younger at the core. Now all eyes turn to the draft as the Saints look to build for the future and also add pieces who can contribute early on. One of the biggest focus, no doubt, will be on the defense, specifically on the defensive line, given the changes happening there and the need for interior talent. A name who has come up recently as an option is Tennessee prospect Tyree West, who is set to speak with Saints defensive line coach Bo Davis later this week. Saints defensive line coach Bo Davis meeting privately with Tennessee edge rusher Tyrie West, according to Aaron Wilson. Now, West is a very intriguing player all around, very solid athlete for his size, production, steady improved over the years. In 2025, he posted 23 tackles, 7 for a loss, 4 sacks, a pass deflection, a forced fumble, 17 pressures, 13 defensive stops, 6'3", 300, almost 300 pounds. He has great measurables for the line, but also agile enough to move gap to gap and block running lanes coming off the edge. In 25, he was predominantly used as an outside the tackle player with 216 reps outside over the tackle and the 16 in the B gap. While he does come off the edge often, he splits a decent chunk of reps over the tackle and the B gap. So it'll be interesting to see where ultimately he projects at the next level. Well, let's look at that. This is a scouting report on Tyree West. He didn't have anything pretty much from the NFL. He wasn't invited to the scouting combine. So we had to find an independent report to talk about with Tyree West. And they mentioned this: thick, powerful SEC defensive lineman who earned his stripes as a rotational run defender. Behind one of the best defensive lines in the country at Tennessee, plays with relentless motor, genuine violence at the point of attack. The Mississippi State strip sack that flipped the game in the fourth quarter showed what he can do with his power and effort converge. But 47 games and only 5 starts is a red flag. He has pass rush toolkit is rudimentary. He wins with a bull rush and effort and not with the bend or counter moves. The ceiling is a physical rotational defensive end who earns snaps at early downs. The floor is a camp body who can overcome 23% career missed tackle rate at the next level. Definitely got to change that. According to the report, it stipulates that his strengths are as follows: legitimate power at the point of attack, 290 pounds with a violent hands first playing style that allows him to set and hold edges against run, relentless motor that doesn't shut off, consistently makes plays in the backfield, pursuit and praise by coaches and scouts alike, quick first step for the size, allowing him to shoot gaps and generate disruption. Competitive toughness and physicality, 4-star recruit who competed for or in the SEC for 4 years against top-tier offensive linemen. Weaknesses are as follows: severely limited pass rush repartee, wins almost exclusively with a bull rush and effort, lacks counter moves, bend or speed to power conversion toolkit. High missed tackle rate, 17.4% for as a senior, 23.4% career. That rates serious questions about finishing ability and tackling technique at the next level. Never secured a starting role at Tennessee despite 4 years, was a rotational piece behind players like James Pierce Jr., Bryson Eason, and Joshua Josephs. Did not receive an NFL Combine invitation. Limited measurable validation physical traits, and not on PFF Big Board. Now, the pro comparison should spark some concern right here. They compare this man to Marcus Davenport. Late career conversion. Multiple scouting aggregators cite a Davenport comp, a big body edge who sets the edge first and rushes the passer second. Size 6'3", 290, and power first style mirror Davenport's run defense first identity. Though West lacks developed Davenport's initial first round athleticism and upside rather, more realistically, West's NFL trajectory is like mirrors Davenport's role as a rotational early down defender rather than a full-time starter. So you can see some of the traits they have listed is saying that his motor is impeccable. He needs to work on the run defense in the first step and his pass rush. So they give him tackle for loss 7.5 in 2025. So, but remember, that all sounds the way it does, but remember who's talking to him. Bo Davis is. So Bo Davis, who's a top-notch defensive line coach, feels like Tyree West, he can fix that. And like I said, we'll see what he does with Tyree West, because isn't interesting. He definitely has it, but you got to work on the missing tackles, the strength, and all this kind of stuff, and getting him trained up. And like I said, Tyree will more than likely be a guy that's between the fourth and 7 rounds, probably somewhere between realistically between 5 to 7, depending on how bad you like him. But we'll see where the Saints fall with this particular pick. But you can see they definitely looking to try to improve what's going on with that defensive line. And speaking of this, man, let's go and look at, I got it pulled up right here. As you guys can see, the defensive line is a position that the Saints most certainly have to pay attention to. Remember Mickey Loomis saying this, and this is a very well, maybe not so well known, that Mickey Loomis has this thing where he says he likes to draft a year ahead of a need. Put one in the chat if you ever heard that before. Mickey Loomis likes to say that. He likes to say they like to draft 1 year ahead of a need and not necessarily the year of the need, right? So if that is indeed the case, that the perfect example of them doing that would be at the defensive tackle position. Why? Because Brian Bresee option was picked up this year at 12.99 or whatever it is, $13 million for him for next year. So he'll be under contract for 2027 as well. And then beyond that, who knows? The Saints could possibly work on an extension between now and then. It'll be more, favorable for Brian Bresee. But both Devon Gotcho and Nate Shepard, those guys are going to be out of here. They have 1 year remaining on both the contracts. And then John Ridgway has a 2-year deal. He signed this year. He'll be 1 year next year. And he's the guy that's been dealing with injuries as well. So he's not really the guy that be like, okay, we can rely on John Ridgway. And then Christian Boyd is in the final year of his rookie deal. So you're going to be looking totally different from the defensive line position, to be honest with you. With Brian Bresee, based on seeing what they're going to do there and all those contracts I mentioned. Now, Vernon Brockton, who can play inside and out, according to his skill set with Bo Davis, we don't know exactly what he can do. Now, we know they spent the 3rd round pick on him, but he will be a guy that a lot of people will be looking at and saying, what could this guy do? What could he contribute? Chris Rumph is only 1 year remaining on his contract. Kozai Ezert is a practice squad defensive tackle. So you can see the Saints looking at the interior defensive tackle position. And next year, a lot of these guys are going to be gone. The interior defensive line could look different. But could it be a surprise that y'all could see a defensive lineman taken in the 2nd or 3rd round for the Saints? So that's also something that you might want to pay attention to. The Saints drafting ahead of a need and maybe getting that guy within the first 3 rounds. Maybe, because we have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds. Maybe one of those picks we end up getting. Now, the Saints also talked to the big defensive tackle from Texas Tech is another guy that they talked to when they went to Texas Tech Pro Day. He's a guy that could be on the radar too. He has a 2nd and 3rd round grade depending on your scouting report. But nonetheless, to put it like this, the Saints are doing due diligence to see what they can find here on some of these players, man. And ultimately, Tyrie West could be a guy. If Bo Davis is meeting with him, he is something Bo Davis like about this guy, and he might be able to fix. So that's just something to kind of throw at you guys as far as that's concerned. All right, y'all, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Big Q representing Sports Coma. We up in this thing. For more reports, y'all got to hit that notification bell, man. You hear me?
Who that say?